Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who give you the widest choice of cereals in the whole wide world. All the great grains in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome again our guest panelist this evening, who will be sitting on my left. He's the star of the very popular program, American Bandstand, Dick Clark.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce the lady who is the official hostess for the New York Summer Festival, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now, back from the Canadian Rockies and Disneyland, and fit as a fiddle and sharp as a blade and ready for anything, which is what he's going to get on this panel, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Well, a week ago tonight in Beverly Hills, I was watching this show and saw how wonderful Martin Gable was in my place. It was interesting to note that in Beverly Hills, John Daly is just as hard to understand as he is right here on the spot. And here he is himself to apologize for all the indignities he's visited upon us, Mr. John Charles Daly.
I just knew Bennett shouldn't go away on a vacation. He's gone soft. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. It's nice to have Bennett back with us, the more so because I think we're going to give the panel, once again, a rather rough time of it tonight. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show. We'll meet our first challenger after. Now let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Lenny? Kincaid, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Kincaid? Miss Kincaid, I must congratulate you on your, I guess you call board writing, huh? Handwriting and board writing. It's very firm and very attractive. Miss Kincaid, the panel. Panel, Miss Kincaid, will you join me over here? Would you sit down right here? Tell me, do you know how we keep score, Miss Kincaid?
Yes.
All right, fine. And let's let everybody at home and our guests here in the theater know exactly what your line is. Panel, we'll give you the usual bit of help. Miss Kincaid is self-employed, and I think we'll celebrate your homecoming by letting you start things off. Bennett, Cerf.
Mr. Daly, by some misadventure, maybe on purpose, you didn't tell us where Miss Kincaid hails from.
Miss Kincaid, tell him where
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Daytona Beach, Florida. You weren't by any chance in this Miss Universe contest out in California, were you?
That's one down. Mind to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Good night.
Welcome home, Bennett. It's like old times. May we assume that you have nothing to do with alligators?
No.
Yes, you may assume that Miss Kincaid has nothing to do with alligators, no.
I remember a girl from Florida who was also very attractive, gave us a terrible time on that. I'd like to rule them out. May we assume that you have nothing to do with any living creatures professionally?
Yes.
Except human beings, I mean. Of course. I meant...
you meant
anything...
except human beings?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you deal with men and women in your work? Is your employment a service type of employment?
Here again, because I do feel that perhaps I'm guilty of causing some confusion. When you say, do you deal with men and women, we have to answer affirmatively because actually in the normal routine of every day, I think we all tend to deal with men and women. Good for you. That's
I couldn't quite hear that, John.
I'm sorry, Dorothy.
Well, does she agree with you?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Well, there seemed to be an implication there on Mr. Daly's part,
No,
not
please
on
don't infer anything, and I ain't implying, believe me.
Well, that she did something sort of long distance. It was like, doesn't everybody meet men and women? Well, I'll get another question. I'm not getting anywhere with that. Do the people who use your service come in contact with you? I don't mean physical contact, but do they see you?
Yes.
Well, do they come in physical contact with you, too?
Yes.
Do you do something to them using your hands?
Not necessarily, no.
I think we'd have to say sometimes at least, huh? Well, wait a minute. We'll have a small conference.
Everything on this show's happening off stage.
We'll have to give you a yes on that, Dorothy.
Well, do you use, when you come into contact with them, do you use something other than your hands?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go. Dick Clark.
Miss Kincaid, this service you perform, while you're performing it, would it be peculiar for you to wear what you're wearing tonight?
Yes.
Would what you wear when you do what you do be described as a distinguishable uniform of some sort? Not necessarily a braided thing,
Yes.
but if I were to look at you in uniform, would I know immediately what you do?
Yes.
Is your work more physical than mental?
Yes.
Hmm. Do your feet ever come in contact with sand in your work?
No.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Is the attire that you wear, this costume, is it less than what you have on now?
Yes.
Do people ever watch you when you are at work?
Yes.
Would you be considered a performer yourself?
Yes.
Can you perform your work, do you usually perform your work indoors?
Not necessarily.
Well, then
Do
it's a
you-
yes or no
No,
answer,
wait a
isn't it,
minute. No,
John?
wait a minute.
Yes, it is, John. No conference. Yeah.
Neither one.
Neither one. I would tell you, actually, it's the area here was you said, do you usually do your work indoors? On that particular
wanna give me a
phrasing,
no,
you
don't
get a
you?
no. That makes
all
it
right,
4 down
John.
and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Kincaid, you are definitely a performer of some sort.
Yes.
The act that you do, does it involve the participation of other people as well as yourself?
Yes.
Is there any music connected with the act that you
No.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Now, Miss Kincaid, you've said that you use your hands sometimes, and I got a no on did you use anything else when you came into contact with these people. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Do you talk to them when you're
Yes.
doing your act?
Sometimes. You always do. There you have it, Dorothy. Miss Kincaid always
Always
does.
talks.
I would have assumed it wasn't necessarily a part of the performance.
And
of her functions.
does this entertain them?
Does this entertain them?
Yes. Or amuse them?
Yes.
Gratify
We
them?
like to think that they're entertained, don't we?
Do these people come voluntarily to see what you do?
Yes.
Do they pay?
Yes.
When your act is over, are you wearing less than when you started in?
6 down and 4 to go. I'm going to give you 1 more minute. Dick Clark.
Oh, in a minute, this is going to be difficult. You talk, you do use your hands. Gracious me, oh my. Would anything that you do in the speaking line, would it be something that you would have to learn to do, or is it just normal speaking such as we're
Thank
doing?
you very much.
No.
That's 7 down and 3 to go,
Would
Miss
you-
Francis.
Did you want to say anything?
I just wonder if there's any physical dexterity required much. She
Probably.
wouldn't be a fighter or a wrestler.
Probably.
Definitely.
Miss
Is-
Kincaid
is
just leaned
there-
over and whispered to me, help me out, I'm nervous.
Well, is there any physical dexterity required for the work that you do as a performer?
Yes.
Do you ever tumble or turn somersaults or anything like that in your work? The audience thinks that you do.
If you say no, really, that's all I need. That's 8 down and 2 to go,
No.
Mr. Cerf.
Have you any connection with anything that might be described as fighting, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, or something of that sort? Huh? Are you a lady boxer or wrestler or something? Wrestler or jiu-jitsu?
No, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Is your question, are you a lady what?
Are you a professional, represent something? Do you fight or wrestle or box or squirm?
Never mind these omnibus questions here now.
Well, does she do
Pick
that?
one.
One?
Yeah.
Wrestle.
Yes.
No, only your hands? What kind of wrestling is that with no feet?
Very ladylike.
No tumbling?
No, you see, you said somersaults and tumbling, and you don't if you're a good wrestler. I spent years in the ring, never tumbled. So let's get on to our next challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Frank E. Pulley. Panel, it will come as no surprise to you that our guest is the Reverend Mr. Frank E. Pulley. That is not actually, without any need of my saying it, why we have Reverend Mr. Pulley with us. Would you tell us where you're from, sir?
Lewisburg, North Carolina.
Lewisburg, North Carolina. Well, sir, the panel. How do you do, panel? Reverend Pulley, will you come over here and sit down with me, please? Do you know how we keep score, sir?
Yes, sir.
Well, if you just sit down here, then we'll let the folks at home and our friends in the audience here know exactly what your line is. So that you're not misled in any degree whatsoever, that the Reverend Mr. Pulley is in semi-retirement, Episcopal minister, and does supply work for the church still in North Carolina, but he is here because he has a sideline, which we thought you'd find very interesting. In fact, we know you'll find it interesting. And let's see, Mr. Pulley is self-employed, and let's begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Mr. Pulley, is there any product involved with your sideline?
Yes.
Is it something that is now or ever has been alive?
Yes.
Is it animal?
Yes.
Does it have 4 legs?
I don't think so.
One down and 9 to go, Dick Clark.
I don't think so. He's never counted.
No, I don't think so, is what Dr.
Doesn't think so.
said.
Mr. Pulley, does this work that you do in handling this product take you from place to place?
Sometimes.
Would more of your work take place inside rather than outside?
Could be either.
Now, the product with which you deal, would it be used by men and women?
Yes.
Is this a useful product?
Yes.
Would you call it a relatively inexpensive product?
Yes.
Great. I haven't the vaguest idea what... How many feet it has?
How many legs?
The animal from which this product came, is it true to say it had no feet at all?
That's a reasonable presumption.
Does it crawl on its belly like a snake?
Could be.
Yeah. Is it safe to assume this is not in the snake family?
Are you speaking, because here, are you speaking of the whole reptile family? Is it safe to presume it's not in the reptile family?
Mr. Daly, I don't know too much about snakes.
Well, the snakes are in the reptile family. I mean, I just want to get it general enough so that you don't
I
come
have a
back at me
sneaky
and say
feeling
I
you're going to
misled
give me
you.
a no.
Oh, no, this is not... Listen, I wouldn't set a trap for anybody.
How can you say that sitting alongside of the Reverend?
I've had...
No, actually, Dick, I just don't want to mislead you. I mean, if your question is this not in the reptile family, is that right?
I've had professional advice. The people say, withdraw the question. No, let's
No,
say
if you want to withdraw the question, that's all right.
No, the reptile
Would you like to
family.
withdraw it?
No.
You wouldn't. You're a hard man, so you'll get your no. 2 down, 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Must be a wonderful poker
Is this a
player.
small animal?
Yes.
Is it ever used in fishing, this animal?
Yes.
Have they found a way to can them? If it's what I think they have. In a delicacy shop.
No.
Oh, then it isn't worms. Well, if it is worms, which is what I'm thinking of, my dear.
Yes, actually, I think the Reverend Mr. Pulley will agree that there is a worm which is canned. So we'd answer that question affirmatively. Now, is your question, is it worms?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
I think I better say, are they worms?
Well, that is your question. Are they worms?
Are worms that with which the Reverend Pulley deals?
And that is your question now, Arlene.
All right, no.
Yes, that's right.
Now I have to find out what
Yeah,
the Reverend
what-
Pulley does with worms?
Yes.
I know he doesn't eat them. Well, if it's a profession, if it's a labor, then perhaps you raise worms?
Raise worms? And now I will tell you
You said
something that will, panel, that will endear the Reverend Mr. Pulley to you. He calls his worms mambos because they wiggle so much. Isn't that a wonderful sense of humor? Thank you very much, sir. It's wonderful to have had you with us as a guest. Hope you enjoy it. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. Come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which I ask my friends to blindfold themselves. The blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, panel, in the case of our mystery challenger, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and let's begin with Arlene Francis.
Well, the whistles were certainly from the masculine side of the audience, so may I assume you are a darling of the entertainment world?
I have a very bad case of laryngitis.
Well, you could still be darling of the entertainment world, though, couldn't you?
Yes.
Good.
Mr. Cerf.
When you are speaking in a more normal voice, could you be classified as a motion picture star?
If you want to stretch a point.
I can't hear it. I can't hear.
If you want to stretch a point.
If you want to stretch a point, or yes. Miss Kilgallen.
Do you do anything besides act, or have you ever done anything in a picture besides act? Have you ever danced or sung?
I like to think I'm many-dimensional.
I couldn't hear that.
Our guest would like to think that she is many-dimensional.
Does that mean she's danced or sung?
And also that she's pretty shapely.
I figured that from the applause and cheers.
Do you, pardon me,
Go ahead, Dick.
ready to roll?
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you have a motion picture which is now or will soon appear on Broadway?
If we're very lucky, they'll let it be seen.
Miss Francis?
If she's very lucky, I'm sorry, John, would you interpret?
I guess that if we're very lucky, they'll let it be seen.
Seen, I see, all right. Well, have you ever appeared in any medium of entertainment apart from the picture world?
Pick a medium.
Pick a medium? A happy medium? With a crystal
medium.
ball? Well, the theater?
No.
Have you, by any chance, got a sister who is just as famous as you are in the motion picture world?
I have 2 sisters, but they're not very famous in the motion picture world.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Good heavens. I know what Bennett was thinking of, and so was I. Are you a romantic leading lady type rather than a comedienne?
It just depends upon your definition, Miss Kilgallen. You're terribly critical, you know.
I couldn't hear it.
John, could we have a translation of that joke? We can't hear it over here.
Now, actually, Dorothy, our guest said that it would depend upon your definition, and you might be very critical of it. So that we would, I think, need a little further clarification. I would say that the leading lady classification is the clarification that is needed. Wouldn't you?
Is right?
Hey, Dorothy.
Mr. Clark.
She is a leading lady?
Yes.
Have you ever appeared in nightclubs?
Las Vegas, but that doesn't count.
Miss Francis?
Well, it's big. Are you known for something that you do especially in pictures? I mean, Dorothy asked if you danced or sang, and you said yes, but does one associate you with a thing other than acting in pictures?
You're asking the question, Miss Francis.
Well, I gotta have an answer.
You mean, actually,
Is there some other endeavor that she is really known for better? I mean, lots of our actresses sing and dance, but that, doesn't mean so much. But is our guest known for something
Missy
special?
Gaynor's gonna hate you.
The what?
You say it doesn't mean so much to dance. Missy Gaynor's gonna hate you.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I meant if it were Mr. Astaire, first it would be dancing, Dorothy, are you snapping?
No, Dick is and I, we're both
snapping in
snapping.
unison.
You're
The man
snapping,
with the
both of
hand
you?
up with the 3 minutes is.
May we have one conference while we find out what they're snapping about?
You may have...
Yeah.
Things are getting out of hand. Now, let's
I
get
was-
this racked up again. Arlene, it's your question. You want a conference? You may have
Yeah.
10 seconds from now.
From now. No, you were snapping, so I thought you
Yes,
wanted
well,
to...
I was thinking of a brunette dancer, and I guess Dick wasn't. I thought,
No.
what were you thinking? Would you like to confide?
I was thinking of a blonde dancer.
Were you thinking of Sid Charisse?
10 seconds are up.
No.
Arlene?
Well, Dorothy was thinking of Ann Miller, and I think it's nice that she was thinking of Ann Miller, and so we may just as well ask, are you Ann Miller? Thank you.
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, are you Sid Charisse?
Charisse?
Yeah.
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are you... Have we established her color of hair? No. Are you a blonde?
In the summer, always.
Oh, dear. Are you on the petite side, say less than
I'm taller than you are.
5'4"? I couldn't hear.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
The answer is no, then.
Dick asked, are you on the petite side? And before he finished his question, our guest said, I'm taller than you are, honey.
Oh.
We're all whispering, aren't we?
Oh, you're a big girl, huh? Do you have your own company in pictures?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you do tap dancing as well as ballroom dancing?
We've eliminated Sid Charisse and Ann Miller. No.
I can't hear a word.
7 down and 3 to go. No is the answer. Miss Kilgallen?
Have you ever made any records?
They didn't sell.
I didn't ask that.
The answer is yes, they didn't sell. Mr. Clark.
How tall is Mitzi Gaynor? No, she's small.
Actually, it's
Small.
still Miss Kilgallen's turn because I said yes, Mr. Daly, if you don't mind my
Oh, no, but we only do one question at a time.
Excuse me. Lost my name.
Actually, I'm going to ask you all to unmask because we're running out of time. I think you would have recognized an old colleague on the panel after a while, like Esther Williams.
Oh.
Miss Esther Williams, if you hadn't said Broadway, Dick, you hadn't said Broadway, you'd have opened up a big avenue to go charging up because there is a picture, Raw Wind in Eton, but it's going to open in Atlantic City, you see, not in Broadway. And down there...
How are you,
voice.
Esther?
Fine, thank you.
And what do
Bennett,
you mean
this
you
is the
haven't
first-
made records? You've been making them in swimming pools for years.
Oh,
And
thank
also
you.
now manufacture swimming pools,
Yes, I
mind
know.
you, too.
Mr. Daly, what a kind man you are.
No, I read this in the paper every time I open the want ads. This is by a swimming pool with Esther
And
Williams.
do you have one yet?
No, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
The way you were so wonderfully articulate tonight, I'd like to give you one wholesale, all right?
Thanks very much. Wonderful to have you with us. Good night. We'll be back after this word from our... Since we're a bit short of time tonight for the panel and myself, good night, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines.